Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Self Care Corner podcast. And I am so excited to have Trisha John here today. She's an amazing woman, and she's really taken that risk and taken that time to step into self care and really work in areas of her life to reduce burnout. So I'm so excited to have her here today. Thank you so much for being here, Trisha.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Angel, for having me tonight. It's such an honor to be here
Yeah.
with you and your people.
I know, and I think they're in for a treat because I met you at the end of May, which feels like ages ago now. But just this new movement you've started and the newsletter you've started with self-care tips and all those other things too. Do you want to share with the audience about that?
Sure, absolutely. Yes, so I did take a leap of faith a year ago and resigned from my full-time position as a director level health services health. I'm sorry,
You're
director of
okay.
health services for a school district, a job that I absolutely loved. Um, but I felt the burnout. It was
Yeah.
real. And I needed to take a step back and just recollect and gather myself. And so, in that, I stumbled upon nurse coaching and decided I would venture into that to see what it was all about. And I have learned so much through that journey that now I look back and wish that I had had that training, that knowledge years ago,
Mhm.
because I feel like I would probably still be in my position that I dearly loved had I had the tools or had the um, the awareness that it
Mhm.
is truly okay to take that time for yourself throughout the day, the work
Yeah.
day, just to pause for a minute. In our collective, in our nurse coaching collective, we called it slowing down to speed up.
Yeah, I've heard that before too. So
And
good.
it's true, it's real. And so now I'm here to hopefully, I want to inspire other women in whatever chapter of life they're in, anything from the professional who needs to take that break and to learn how to incorporate that into their day and know that it's okay to do that. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
or a new mom who's learning how to adapt while they're taking care of this precious little baby. Again, it's okay to take a few minutes for yourself. And sometimes those wins are small, but those small wins will take you to greater heights.
No,
They may seem
yeah.
trivial, and I'll give an example of trivial. Just putting lotion on your hands,
Hmm.
something that some of us do, daily, several times a day, but this taking that moment to really take in the scent of the lotion, if it's scented, feeling it on your hands, those kind of things, just taking that moment to shut out the rest of the world, shut out the noise, and just be in that moment is so strengthening to the individual.
I agree. Oh my goodness, you dropped so many gems there. I think before we dive into all of them, I'm just curious, like, what's something you learned in your coaching course or like the course for nurses? What's like one of the key things that you learned when you took that?
Um, Honestly, the biggest impact that I took away from that is movement, moving
Mm,
my body. And
yeah.
it doesn't have to be exercise. I mean, I've got my Peloton shirt on today, but I um, just snippets of movement, and now I've started parking way far away
Yeah.
from the storefront, just to get in that movement. I set a timer every day, while I'm working here at home. I set a timer for 25, 30 minutes, and then I get up and I move around for 3 to 5 minutes. Um, Not necessarily multitasking, I wouldn't call it that, because that's one thing that I have kind of let fall off of my vocabulary is that multitasking, because we are ingrained in you've got to multitask. But movement is so important for so many reasons, not just the physical body, but the mental. Um, again, taking that mental break.
I agree. And it's It's so interesting because a lot of times we think that like, oh man, if I gotta move my body, that means I need to work out 45 minutes a day every day. I need to hit the gym and do all these things, but it's really the little things. And it's funny that you mentioned that you've started parking further away because that's something I've done too. Like on those days where I don't get a workout in, I'll park further away from my office building just so I can walk. And it helps like helps you realize that you're doing something. I think that's something I've learned to do is to track my progress. I have a calendar. It did fall down. I got to find the tack. It's somewhere on the floor. I haven't found it yet. But I usually have a calendar on my wall here, and every day I go on a walk with my coworker or I work out or something. I just put a little X in it. And what that does for me is it's showing me that I'm doing something. Like, and it could be a 5 minute walk, it could be a 20-minute walk, it could be a full workout, but every little bit counts. And I think a lot of times when we think about self-care or mental health, we think we have to make these really big shifts and like alter our whole life. And it's like a big overhaul. But it's really those little things that you do. And there's a lady named Teresa Belfoy that I follow, and she talks about change adding up, kind of like compound interest. Little by little, you put deposits in your bank account, which is like your life, and it's going to add up and you're going to see major changes over time. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And, yeah, I like that compounding interest because it's the little bits that do add up.
Yeah, and I think it's beautiful. And I think that's something for everyone out there in the world of YouTube. Is just thinking about the little things, counting your little wins, kind of how Trisha said, like putting on lotion, just really taking the time to put on that lotion, see how it feels on your hands, see how it smells, because it slows down your mind. And there's a meditation technique, and I haven't done it in a while, so I might get things a little mixed up. But like if you're ever feeling overwhelmed, just to bring yourself back in, it's like five things that you can physically see and look at. I think it's four things that you can hear, three things that you can smell, two things that you can touch, and one other thing. But it's like these little movements that will help you to like come back to yourself and center yourself, and that's going to help prevent burnout. I think a lot of times we neglect ourselves because we think we don't have time. But I mean, looking for five things to see, four things to hear, all those things, it's going to take you 2 minutes at the most, and then you can get back to your day. So, what other things do you do to kind of like practice self-care that are like minor? Like they seem small, but they make a big difference in your life.
Um, you mentioned the meditation practices. I have stepped into just mindfulness into what I'm doing.
Mhm.
I gave the example of the lotion, but while I'm washing dishes and after meals, noticing the soap, noticing the water on my hands. How does the water sound as it's flowing off the dishes? Those kind of things. A really, I guess my favorite example is over the holidays. Um, just there's always so much to do, so much to do.
Yeah.
And instead of, as I'm frantically wrapping presents like I used to do, and then thinking about, the meals that I've got to prepare or the grocery list I need to compose, whatever, I just stopped. I'm wrapping presents right now. Let's
Yeah.
see what the wrapping paper sounds like, what it feels like, how does the tape sound coming out of the dispenser, those kind of things. And um, just showering, just
Yeah.
taking a minute. We talk about self-care, just everybody's got to bathe at some point. So,
Yeah.
just taking a minute to feel the water as it's flowing and hitting your feet. I've started doing a contrasting shower where I've got the water really warm, but then
Mm.
at the end I go really cold, and then I
Yeah.
take note of how does the cold water is flushing out the hot water in all of my hair and just feeling
Yeah.
taking note of that. Again, just being mindful in the present moment
Yeah, that's really
is
good.
huge. The rest of it can wait. It's
Yeah.
all gonna be there and it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a really good point. Like it's always going to be there. It's kind of sad, kind of like laundry. I don't know how it is at your house, but I feel like it's a never-ending cycle. I think there's been two times I've washed all of our laundry, and it's like there's been nothing, no blankets, no clothes, nothing waiting.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is, it's like it's always going to be there. And I think as women, sometimes we feel like we have to do it all. Like we have to do it. If we don't do it, then who will? And there's a little bit of guilt, like sitting and doing nothing. And there's actually been statistics that show like one of the reasons that women don't practice self-care is because they feel guilty. They feel like they should be doing something and earlier this week, I was encouraging some of my friends, and a quote came up in my spirit, which is, "We are human beings, not human doings." Now, I wish I came up with that, but I did not. I need to look
Love
up who said that quote, but it's so true. Like, for human beings, that means we need to be in the moment. That means we need to, like, be with our family. Like, all these tasks we weren't made to do all the time. So we need to, like, relax and just be. And it's so scary sometimes just because we just live in a society where it's like go, 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 do. And there's time for that, but also just like to be is very
you.
important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think my biggest pearl of advice is um, initially it may be helpful to schedule
Yeah,
your self time
I agree.
until you get into that rhythm and earn that or take on that mantra of this is my time and this is okay. I need my time. Um, schedule it in your day and, reading a book. Self-care does not have to be expensive.
No.
It can be, just sitting, carving out 15 minutes in your day to read a book. Um, Parking a little further away and taking in that walk and noticing the birds, or just as simple as hearing your footsteps on the pavement, taking that in. Yesterday in my walk, that's what I did. I typically will have on um, a workout of some sort on an app on my
Mhm.
phone. But yesterday I was like, no, today is just going to be about what's around me, about nature and what's out there, and
Mhm.
just hearing the rhythm of my footsteps on the concrete, um, hearing, anything from the nature to the construction going on around me. I'm just taking that all in. I'm not going to try to compete with all of that because I want to listen to my app.
Well, that's so good. And you
And
hit a
that
lot of
was
good
that was
points.
so freeing yesterday. It just, I don't need all that
Yeah, you
to
don't.
do that.
And
So,
it's so interesting how we become so dependent on our technology. Like if I leave my phone at home, I'm thinking like, what if someone has to contact me? What if, how am I going to get around? But like 10, 15 years ago, we did that all the time. Cell phones weren't super popular. Um, so it's good to get back to that. And I also like that you said schedule it. Like as you are getting into like the self-care routine, it's so good to schedule it. Another quote that Terry Sabelle always says is what gets scheduled gets done. So
absolutely.
you need to prioritize your self-care. And if you're at a point in your life where you can't, like it doesn't come natural to you, just put it in your calendar. And you can also start small, it could be like a 10-minute walk or like 2 minutes away from your desk. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like these big things. And as time goes on and you get used to it, you can stop putting it in your phone, or maybe you like it so much. And when I say phone, I mean your calendar. But maybe if you really like it, keep doing it because you know it's so important for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And something else that came up, you were talking about, it might have been around like scheduling your self-care or not feeling guilty. That's what it was. So like not feeling guilty about your self-care and like how all the work and your tasks are still going to be there. You have a choice in life. You have a choice to voluntarily step into self-care, or your body's going to make you do it. And I remember in 2019, I was going, and involved in every single activity you could think of, traveling and all those things. And I remember this particular time I went to New York. I was going to go see an author that I had wanted to meet. And I came back, I was still going, 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 but I was starting to get a little tired. I was burnout by this point. And I remember telling myself, I'm like, I'm gonna rest this weekend. But it was too late, and I ended up fainting and in the ER and urgent care, like in and out for like the next 3 months. And that was like involuntary. I had to step back from a lot of my activities. I had to um just really be still. And so from that, I learned not to push myself as much. And that kind of goes out to everyone else too. Like your fumes eventually are going to run out, like as gently as I can say it. So it's like you have a choice to voluntarily step into self-care and take 2 minutes for yourself or 10 minutes for yourself, or your body's going to make you do it longer. So it's very important to start incorporating this into your life.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Angel. That is so scary, and I'm happy for you that you were home when you started requiring the medical attention.
Oh, thank you.
Um,
Yeah, not New York. Oh my gosh, a New York medical bill. I don't even know what that
but
looks like.
yes, a book that I just recently read is Why We Sleep, and it talks about the power of sleep and how regenerative it is for our bodies, um, physically and mentally. And um, many times I have friends that travel for work, and burn the candle at both ends and sometimes multiple candles at multiple ends. And
Yeah.
there's times where they hit that wall, and it takes them days to recover from that. We can't um, sleep off our sleep debt, if you will,
Yeah.
but you're right, our bodies will tell us that's it. You need to just lay down. I mean, how many times have we been sick with the flu or, COVID or any of those things, and we
Yeah.
just sleep. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what our bodies need to recover is sleep.
It's so
So I would
true.
say too, prioritizing sleep and making sure that getting that on a schedule. And again, if you've got to put it on the calendar, and um, I have a little bedtime reminder on my phone, and it's got this sweet little lullaby
Oh,
bell that goes off about 15 minutes before the bedtime that I set. And just time to start winding down, and kind of have gotten into a rhythm with that, just with the sunlight, the daylight.
yeah.
I know when it's starting to get to be that time to to start slowing down for the evening and making sure that I do get enough rest, um,
Yeah.
because that's huge.
That's a really good tip. And I think new research is showing that women need 10 hours of sleep too. So it's not just 8 hours, but like to have your hormones regulated, to be able to show up as your best self, we now need 10 hours of sleep. So
Mhm.
get that sleep in there. And it's okay on the weekends to be like to sleep in. It's okay to take naps. It's okay to just like not do anything. And I was kind of reminded that over this past week because I got my wisdom teeth out. And oh my gosh, I thought that like getting your wisdom teeth out is like an outpatient procedure, which it is outpatient, but I thought I would be back to normal in 48 hours. No. So I've been like taking more naps in the middle of the day. I've been having to slow down just because I was in so much pain. So it's okay. And actually that's something I told myself on Saturday because I have been working from my phone, like laying down on my couch working from my phone. But Saturday I was just like, you did technically do a lot. So just rest. It's okay to do nothing. It's totally
Mhm.
okay. Doing nothing, it doesn't make you lazy. It doesn't make you a bum. It doesn't mean that you are going to miss out on your opportunities. Kind of how Trisha shared, you slow down to speed up. Sometimes you have to slow down and take that time in order to get that momentum to move forward. So,
Absolutely.
uh,
Absolutely.
it's really good. Well, where can people find you if they wanted to see what you're up to, kind of see what your new ventures are? Where could people find you?
Well, I have a website, Grace and Grit, WCC at .com, sorry, Grace and Grit Wellness Coaching and Consulting.
Love
I'm
it.
on Facebook, Experience Grace and Grit Wellness Coaching. And I also have started, I've had some parents reach out to me from my school nurse. experience asking for help
Mhm.
with their children and the child's chronic conditions like diabetes, asthma, food
Mhm.
allergies, those types of things, needing help navigating for 504 plans or
Yeah.
their special education plans that, especially as it relates to those health needs. So I'm more than happy to help with all of that. Everything that I do, um, you know, nurse coaching is a lot like a health coach, a wellness coach, except that we add that nursing experience in there. And I absolutely love helping people. And it's a lot about active listening
Mhm.
to hear what the individual has to say and where they want to go, and just deep diving into their resources and helping them um, realize their potential and get them to their wellness goals, whatever that may be, whatever it looks like for them.
Oh, I love that. And we'll put all of that in the show notes below so you could connect with Trisha. And I just want to thank you again for being here today. And we'll see you all next time. If you would love to be a part of our community, please like, follow, subscribe, share with your friends, and just continue on this journey of self-care and this catalyst of change because self-care is so important and we need it to be able to thrive in life. I'm not going to say survive because we don't believe in only surviving here. We believe in thriving. So we will see you next time.